Senators, slaves, even Caesar himself consulted mystics. And around that time, they had many ominous events to interpret. The portents spelt danger for Rome, and Caesar himself was singled out for special attention. A soothsayer is said to have warned him to beware one particular day, the Ides of March. But Caesar, now feeling invincible, ignored the threats. Meanwhile, Rome's senators were divided on how to deal with their dictator. While some harbored growing resentment, others continued to shower Caesar with honors. But if the Senate believed that bestowing honors on Caesar would win his respect, one decisive event showed how deeply wrong they were. In early 44 BC, a group of senators went to see Caesar to announce a whole raft of new titles in thanks for his deeds.
And when they come to visit him there, rather than stand as a senator should when greeting his other senators, he remains sitting.
The senators were incensed by Caesar's show of blatant disrespect. Some senators had begun to talk for the first time about how to get rid of Caesar. But the plotters needed a leader, and all eyes were on Marcus Brutus, Caesar's ally, who had returned to Rome from Gaul. Brutus had the ideal credentials to lead a plot against a tyrant. Tyrannicide was in Brutus's blood. But when he returned from Gaul, he still saw the alliance with Caesar as his best option. The conspirators had to sever his ties to the dictator, so they came up with a plan. Around this time, graffiti began to appear in the city, with messages like "Brutus sleeps" and "Thou art not really Brutus." The plotters were playing on Brutus's greatest vulnerability, his fierce family pride. The plan worked, as Brutus began to waver. Brutus, Caesar's great ally, was teetering on the brink of rebellion. But Caesar appeared totally oblivious to the plots and conspiracies. And instead of clamping down, he did something extraordinary. He got rid of his bodyguard. Caesar had upturned Rome's Senate, mortally offended its leading men, and dismissed all threats against him. He was playing a highly dangerous game. And what he did next would rock the foundations of the Republic to its core. He became dictator for life. No other Roman had ever dared take this title. And Caesar had not finished rolling the dice. Not content with life dictatorship, the very next day Caesar set out to test the limits of his power at one of Rome's biggest annual festivals, the Lupercalia. As the festivities continued, a mysterious episode unfolded. Mark Antony, one of Caesar's closest allies, approached Caesar and offered him a crown. Caesar made a great show of refusing, and the crowd cheered its support. One man in particular was deeply unsettled by these events: Marcus Junius Brutus. Brutus's ancestors had driven out Rome's tyrannical kings. Now he was faced with a man who appeared to want to take the crown. The time for reflection was over. Brutus joined the conspirators. With Brutus on side, the conspiracy became very real. But there wasn't long to act. After years in Rome dealing with the city's day-to-day running, Caesar, the great general, was becoming impatient. Caesar announced that he would leave Rome and embark on a new military expedition to the east. He gave a date for his departure, March the 18th. The conspirators now had less than a fortnight in which to act. On the morning of the Ides of March, Caesar was preparing to meet with the Senate. This would be his last Senate appearance before departing for Parthia in 3 days' time. Soon he would be away from Rome and out of the reach of his enemies. But for Caesar, the day began with ominous signs that the gods were not on his side. Caesar had made up his mind. He left for the Senate. On his way there, Caesar encountered the same soothsayer who had warned him to be wary of this day. Caesar taunted the soothsayer, saying, "The Ides of March are come." The soothsayer responded, "The Ides have come, but not yet gone." Caesar arrived to the meeting late. When he got there, the conspirators were ready and waiting. The assassins began to close in on their target. They drove their blades home with blow after blow. Brutus and the assassins took to the streets to announce the death of the dictator. But if they hoped to be hailed as saviors of the Republic, they were in for a shock. Their rallying cry of liberty was met with horror by many Romans, who were appalled by Caesar's assassination. By killing Caesar, the conspirators had acted to save the Republic, but what they had actually achieved was its destruction. In the 400 years that followed, a whole line of emperors took sole power of the Roman Empire, and they all took the name Caesar.